All right, welcome to this month's Hour of Power. I'm Al Urok, one of the owners, and yeah, if you're not too familiar with me yet, yeah, give us a ring and we'll make sure to connect up with you. And yeah, if you're not too familiar with me yet, yeah, give us okay, that's better. All right, so anyway. Welcome to anybody that ends up joining us. Right now we have 0 viewers, so let's see. Oh, there's one. All right, that's exciting. Okay, so whoever it is that joined us. If you do want to ask any questions, if you go to solutiosoftware.com/power, which is where you're probably already reading or watching this, go ahead and scroll down just a little bit and you'll see an area for you to make a comment. You might have to register with Discuss to ask a question, but that's pretty quick, or you can log in with your Google account or Twitter or Facebook account. So anyway, so that way we'll know who you are. We have 6 viewers. It's boom, just like that. Okay, so anyway, so please ask questions. I do have one question already that I'll go ahead and address. But before we get to that, I want to introduce a couple of new faces that you see here to my left, I think, is because I think the thing reverses anyway. Anyway, I think it's to my left. Anyway, the other people that are here that are not me. This is Michelle Sudduth. She is new today, her first day. She'll be joining the build and support team. And then Sarah Rice with the person with more hair, further to the right, or to the left. She'll be on our team as well. So we're growing here, adding on more people to answer all of your questions, which we get plenty of, but that's fine. Keep them coming. And to continue to build more sites. So anyway, so hopefully there'll be people that you'll get familiar with here in the future as you send in emails or phone calls or whatever to get your questions answered. So again, for anybody that's just joining us, please ask any questions you want to. I have a list of different popular support topics that have been recently that Jackie and Christine have said that have been a little more active. So I'll start to bring those out if you don't have any questions. Otherwise, I'll just talk about random stuff. All right, so first question today comes from Rose. And so let me share my screen here. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. If that's not true, or if there's something, you know, with the audio or whatever, just please go ahead and make a comment either on the YouTube page or on the Hour Power page, which I'll refresh and see if there's anything else out there. But okay, so let's share my screen. The first question comes from Rose. Wants a little bit better explanation around documents. Seems to be that it's been a little bit hard to yeah, just but maybe she would like some documentation as well, which we can certainly add. So let's show you how to upload a document. So let's go to somebody new. It hasn't been launched yet. Most people have launched. St. Petol is St. Win. Oh. Sorry, I like to kind of bring out new clients that we haven't seen yet or are about to launch. Makes it a good thing to show off some of our new work. Okay, so this is St. Wenceslas in Omaha. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. And say I want to add a document to this page. I don't have this particular parish doesn't have, well, I guess we'll just use the bulletin here. The bulletin is a very popular item. A document, just so you know, they have it set up a little different. Here they are down here. So we're going to add to this area down here below where it says bulletin. And there's different files here. Documents are really for folks that want to post some pre-formatted document that has already been created. So typically that makes its way as far as a bulletin, but it could be a Word document with like a permission form for something to fill out. Could be a flyer. Most parishes will convert things to document or to PDFs first. Because then they're a little bit more easily viewed on mobile devices or any other device, because Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, not everybody has those viewers, so they can't necessarily see those. So typically you'll convert those over to a PDF first. So let me go ahead and show you that process as well, just so you can see how to convert a document. But again, if you already have your PDF created, you won't necessarily need to create a new one, or you won't have to convert it over. Okay, so I'm going to bring up my parish council meeting that we had not too long ago. Or, oh, I'm sorry, this one's for the agenda coming up. If I want to convert this to a PDF, on most computers today, you will see some type of PDF printer. So if I go, so tip on any particular program, say Word or PowerPoint, to convert something to a PDF, typically the first step would be to go and print it. But instead of to a printer that you would normally see, like an Epson, or we have a Brother printer, you would change that printer destination to a PDF. Google has one built in. It says just save as PDF. That when you hit save, it'll have a little pop-up window and it'll ask you where you want to save it, that you guys can't see right now. But that's pretty straightforward. I'll go ahead and do this. Minutes. So I have a PDF to work with. But if you don't have a PDF printer installed, I would recommend Bullzip is one I've used in the past. Bullzip PDF printer. If you go there, you can download a PDF printer. There is a single user edition, which they might have gotten rid of. Community edition is what you'd would be looking for, which is below the regular paid plans. So less than 10 installations for more for a small company. Anyway, so you can download that here, and then once you install that, then it'll be available. You'll see a Bullzip PDF printer available in your list of printers when you go to print something in your print dialog. There would be a Bullzip PDF printer would be one of those listed. I have a few of them. I have Save as PDF. I have Print to PDF. That's a Microsoft product, and Foxit PDF printer. So if you're on a modern version of Windows, you'll probably see one anyway. I know I'm beating this point to death, but again, just to give a larger explanation in case people do run into any problems, the first part of putting most documents is converting them to a PDF, and there's several different ways to do that. So. All right, once I have my PDF, so I have that saved to my desktop now, I'm gonna add this to, say, Wenceslas, their bulletin page. So what I'm gonna do, this is probably the point, Rose, at which the actual question that you had. So we'll go to the administrator just like any other time, and I'll log in. And once you get to this page, your control panel, you'll see the third icon is the Add Document button. We'll click on that. And you're going to be presented with 3 fields, all of them important. The first one is going to be the title. This is what people will actually see when they look at your document. So if I was looking back at the document page, Bulletin 8/21/2016, that's the title. August 14, 2016, that's another title for a separate document. So that's what people will actually read to see what they want to download. So in this example, I'll put in, Al's fake document, and whatever, what's today? It's September 7th, 2016. How much detail you put in there is really up to you. Again, for documents, or actually for bulletins specifically, I recommend generally not putting the word bulletin because it's already in the bulletin area, so it's kind of redundant to put it there. So typically you would just put in the date if it was in a very predefined area like that. Okay, once you put in the title, again, that's what people will see. Now we need to upload a new document into the system. So the second field, you're going to click on the upload button, and you're going to have a pop-up window that will appear. And here is where you can drag a file in, or you can click on Add Files, and that'll bring up a pop-up window where you can select a particular PDF from your computer. That being said, you can, I know that I warned to convert things over, but you certainly can upload Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, Excel documents. That is okay. Just realize with your audience, make sure that it's appropriate for that. So if you're sharing a presentation about a new capital campaign that's a big PowerPoint presentation, well then maybe that makes sense, or an Excel sheet that's kind of a calculator as far as maybe you know, how much to tithe or something. If you need something interactive like that, again, use the original files. But if it just needs to be viewed and you want to make that easier for people, PDFs generally work the best. So I drug my file in from my desktop and dropped it in here, and you'll notice that it's listed, and it'll tell how big it is and such. And I'll hit the button that says Start Upload. It's the big blue button. Once I do that, it will upload that file. My internet connection is pretty fast, so that went up just lickety-split. And then those are the first two fields. The third field is the category. This will tell the system where to put your document. So if I click there, I might see something adult faith formation, Bible studies, or, you know, a particular page, or maybe one of the teacher's pages. There are lots of places maybe that your files can go. In this particular instance, I do want it to go to the bulletin. I want to upload a new bulletin. So title, upload the file here using the where it had to upload. Now it says update, and then plug in a category. So once you have those three fields filled in, that's all we need. We'll go ahead and click on the Save and Close button that's located up at the top right part of your screen. And once we do that, we should be done. As always, I always like to check my work whenever I upload something new. So I'm going to go back to the bulletin page here and refresh. Get the latest copy, and we're going to see Al's fake document, September 7th, 2016. Okay, and then people can obviously click on it, open it up, and see the Sacred Heart minutes in this case. If I want to delete that file, which in this case I do, that website isn't launched yet, but it's going to be soon, I can go to the Document Manager and I can go back to any of the existing files. So I'm going to click on Document Manager, and on the left-hand side of this page, I'm going to see the Bulletin category. I'll go ahead and click there, and I should pull back a list of all of the documents that are in that category, and then I can put a check mark here beside my fake document, and then I can delete it. I could unpublish it, but in this case I know that it needs to go away. When you click on that, it'll have a little dialogue that'll say, are you sure? You guys can't see that right now, but it's just an OK and cancel dialogue. Just hit OK, and poof, it's gone. So now if I go back to the website and look, Al's fake document should be gone. And there it is. Okay, so hopefully, Rose, that answered your question there. If not, give me feedback in the comments and let me know what a poor job I did of explaining. Hey, we got another comment. That's good. So either Rose liked it or she didn't. All right, or somebody asked a question. What about a document link for the document? Okay, that is a good question. Let me explain. It's for those that might not be sure what that means. Okay, so if we plug in a document, there are certain predefined areas like bulletins. Sorry, just so you can see our faces again that we're still here. So the next question comes in. Oh, it's still from Rose. Okay, so linking to a having a link to that document is another thing that we can do that allows someone to plug in a link to a document that's in your system on any article. So a good example of this might be, say you had a new, you had a youth event that was coming up, and you had a permission form that needed to be filled out for this specific youth function. Okay, you'd need to plug it in as a document, and you can put that into kind of whatever area you want. And then when you put an article in that talks about that particular youth event, you might want to put in there a link right to that document. So that way it's all contained in the same information. It's right there. And that way they can click on the document and get right there without having to go to the documents area for youth. So you might want to put a direct link into that. So there's a great way to do this. What we would do, and we'll pick on St. Wenceslas again, and let's pick a page that we're going to go to. So let's go to, just so I know where it lives, we're going to go to the mission statement page, which doesn't have anything on it yet. So let's go to history. Okay, so there we go, a nice little short page. So we're going to plug in a link to a document on this parish history page. So what we would do, Okay, and so Rose, I assume that what you're talking about is, again, making this assumption, you want to have a, you want to put a link in an article. So we're going to go ahead and go to the existing article since it's already out there in the article manager, so the second button here. And then we are going to go to the history article, which is where we're going to plug it in and open that up just like you would any other article. Hang with me a second. I have the advanced mode turned on for my editor, which I'm sure most of you don't use. So I'm going to switch that back so it looks a little more like your guys' screen. Okay, so back to the article manager, back to history, and I'll click on that, and this should be a little more familiar. Okay, so I see here is the text, and here's those pictures that we saw down below. All right, and we want to add a link to a document. So we're going to put it here between the first and second paragraphs. If I want to link to any document that's already in the system, what I would do is click on this second button underneath the text for the article. So you see image, document, article, read more, and toggle editor. Click on document. It'll bring up a pop-up window. And this will reveal all the documents that are currently on your site. So, and you see on the left-hand side, you see all of the categories here. So I can dig into parish here. I could, we'll see where some documents are. All right, so there's some meeting minutes here. There's some stuff on the capital campaign, councils. Okay, so let's use one of these capital campaign ones. We'll say one of those is relevant. Again, we're kind of pretending here. So bulletin series here. So if we wanted to add a link in this article, I would click on the document to select which one I want and hit insert document link, the blue button here at the bottom right hand corner. It automatically puts in a link for me. It links it up so it's already a link, and it uses the text that whatever that file was named. But I can go ahead and add my own text in here. So if I want to say, you know, let's see here, start here, click here to download our document. I generally kind of work in the middle, so that way I make sure that it's still linked in. You can tell that because it has that blue color. So you can leave the same link that's already there, or if you want to override your text, you certainly can. We'll hit save, and then again, just like any other item, we'll go ahead and check and see what it looks like. And you can see that it puts in, it's in a slightly different color. It's the link there, and it also puts, for most of your sites, this isn't necessarily across the board, but for most sites, it will put an icon for whatever type of document it is. If it's a PDF, it'll put that little, those like 3 swirl deals. But if it's a Word document, I think it puts a big W. If it's a PowerPoint, it puts a P. If it doesn't recognize the type of file, it might just have a little blank document, but that helps to bring some attention to it. It already has that pre-formatted in. Again, that's not every site, but most sites do work like that. So, Rose, hopefully that takes care of your question there. I'll go ahead and go back to my article and erase what I have destroyed. All right, so again, ask any questions you want. We're looking at the YouTube page and the solutiosoftware.com/power. Ask me anything you want. That'll show up in our feed and we can get back to you. Okay, so had some other questions kind of preloaded here. We can take a look at. Oh, I use the HTML link chain. Okay, so apparently Rose is the only one that types in here. Come on, other people. So I love the questions. Keep them coming. Rose, so you use the chain link button, which is another method. That's fine. I'll show everyone how to do that as well. I find using the document button a little easier since it already puts in the link for me. It's a few less steps. But if you want to, you certainly can. Let's take a look at the link, the example that Rose was talking about. You can make your own link by, say, I go to the bulletin page. Again, I know there's documents here, so I'm going to use these. But if I right-click on here, which you guys can't see in a little pop-up window, but if I right-click on any one of these documents, you're going to see several different items. What you're looking for is something that says copy link address or copy shortcut, something like that. It depends on your browser and what you're using. If you're using Chrome, it will say copy link address. But if you're using Explorer or Firefox, it might be slightly set different. It might say copy link URL, copy shortcut, or something like that. So again, that appears when you right-click on any document. I'll go ahead and copy the link address, which I know you guys can't see, but you have to trust me on that. All right. So now if I go back into this file, I can say something like, I can type in my own text and say, this is my document. And then if I click and drag over the text and highlight it, I can use the chain link button here. And there's a little pop-up that appears, and I'll show that one to you. It's a little tiny guy. So it'll ask you what's the link URL. This is where I'm going to paste the shortcut that I got from when I copied it from the link. And then I'm going to click on insert here in the bottom left corner. Okay, and then I'm going to share my screen back out with you. As Google lets me. Okay, and so you can see it's a link here. It won't have the little icon, you'll notice. So if I save this off and look, but I will get the link. See, that was on the history page. So this is my document. You see it is in the link color. It's a little bit slightly, it's like a blue. It won't have the icon, but it does link. If I click there, it will link to the document just as before. Okay. So either way works. Again, there's multiple ways to do it. For me, it's one less step to go and find the URL for that document, and that also presupposes that I know where that page is that I put the document at. Whereas if you use the document button, as long as it's in the system, it doesn't matter. Going on to my changes. All right. 15 comments. That seems like there's more. Oh, all right. We got some other stuff here. I think that's all of Rose's questions so far. Okay. Next up, Father Coulter from the great land of Nebraska asks, if you can review the options for slideshows. We still find Rock Gallery module option clunky and inefficient. The main issues are: 1, the animation resize distorted images is annoying. We haven't been able to change or shut off the animation. 2, its inability to automatically use vertical images. And 3, users can't easily view or download the images one at a time or not at all. Lack of the file organization structure. There will eventually be a huge photo bucket and a large number of modules. Okay, so that, Father Coulter, is a great question. And forgive me, I think so for people that might have, I think I talked about this last time, I'm not sure, it's okay. I'll certainly cover that again. But so bear with me if you've already seen this. But I couldn't agree more. So the problem for us as a company is, okay, so for those need a little bit of history, basically Picasa is the tool that we use for quite a while, for a number of years. Google decided that they were no longer going to support that, and they were eliminating that. So they kind of rebranded into Google Photos, but they didn't have an embeddable option. We kind of knew this time was coming because they never updated the code. Generally with Google products, if they start ignoring it and it doesn't get the new look and things, then it's going to be going away at some point. So they need to be active about it. So basically it was a Flash-based thing, which was bad to begin with because it doesn't work on mobile devices. So it was just bad all the way around. But it served the function, and it made things pretty quick. So we were kind of a little bit of a panic. So we looked at things like Photo Bucket as a potential options, but they had advertising with them, and you had to create an account with them. So it was a little cumbersome. We looked at Rock Gallery, which was an already built-in component. And we've been using Rock Gallery for a while. It does some things very well. For us, in a world where we want to have very specific image sizes and such, St. Wenceslas, as I brought up here before, it allows us to do some very interesting things around picture sizes and automatically kind of formatting it for that space. and it's a good internal tool for like preset slideshows. And actually slideshows that are already in the system, it's pretty easy to add pictures to them. The problem comes is when you want to use this as a more tool to kind of put images on all kinds of articles in all kinds of places. It becomes a bit of a problem. And there's other shortcomings, as Father Coulter definitely pointed out as well. So that's kind of sad. So we looked and looked and looked and trying to find a good solution that worked for everyone. We actually looked at another Joomla component and plugging that in and supporting it, but it had a lot of the shortcomings that it just wasn't quite there. It had a lot of the shortcomings that Rock Gallery had. So we're continuing to kind of investigate that side of the house, but we really want it to be to where you're in an article, you press a button, and then you can click and drag your pictures in. That's really, I've used this multiple times today already, the holy grail of albums is just clicking a button, dragging your pictures in, and you're off to the races. So unfortunately, that kind of component doesn't really exist yet, or we're gonna have to make modifications, which I've talked to with Andy, that we're definitely looking at getting added in to that process. But again, I don't know when that comes. There's CMS, there's a content management version number 3 that's coming out that we're going to be working with and putting some good time towards. So we'll bring in some other tools. But so anyway, long story short is that's kind of complex, but I do have a good answer. So there's a third party that we found, much like Picasa, that does this very well. And over the last month or so, we have added a shortcut to every one of your control panels. So you might have seen it recently. It's generally after the Solutio University icon, and it's called Photo Gallery. And it is going to open up a page to Albumizer, which works very well with vertical or horizontal pictures. There's a couple of different display options that you can use. There's no advertising, and they've been around for probably about 4 or 5 years. So again, I can't make promises as far as how long they'll be around or whatever else, but it seems like a pretty stable tool. It works really well on the websites, and it allows you to put photo galleries in any place you want. So it's extremely functional. So it's kind of everything we wanted in a tool, just not quite built in. So you're going to use some embed code like we used to do with where we do with YouTube videos, or how we used to do Picasa albums. But this is actually a lot more straightforward. So that's enough of the setup. Basically, I think it works really well, and I think you're going to like this tool a lot. So let me, I need to find a few pictures here for me to use to plug in. So hang with me for a second here. We'll use some from St. Bridget's, maybe. Do we have? There's a bunch of pictures. Okay, so so there's the final. So again, I'll just continue to pick on St. Wenceslas, and we'll put a gallery onto their history page. So it's the last icon there, Photo Gallery. Everybody should have it. If you don't have a link to Photo Gallery, let us know, and we'll make sure to plug in a link to it. But in the end, it's just going to open up a new window to albumizer.com. So you're going to be presented with a page that looks like this, and you can either click to open up a window to connect your computer, or you can just drag pictures in. So I'm gonna drag a few pictures in here, drag them and drop them on top of that big orange bar, and it will upload those pictures. It does all the resizing, it does all the uploading, and you'll be presented with a little slideshow that looks like this, where people will be able to paste between pictures at their own leisure if they want. There's also a Ken Burns effect, if you're not familiar with that. It's kind of something they started doing in documentaries, where there's like motion to the pictures and they zoom in and stuff, so you can see how that works. And so then it'll automatically kind of create a slideshow that people can hit play on. Also, there's options here to add music if you want, things like that. There's a you can remove the Albumizer icon if you want. They're pretty awesome about kind of allowing you to do whatever you want. You can reorder the images down below. And in the end, all we need is we need to copy this code right here and plug it into an article. So for this example, I'm going to stick with the regular default option, so that way people can kind of paste through it on their own if they want. So I'll copy this code here. Copy. And then when I'm on St. Wenceslas's site, I'll go back to that other deal, parish history. And this is where I'm going to click on the HTML button. And I'm going to need to share that with you. Hang on a second. So this is the pop-up window that appears. And if I want to put the pictures down at the bottom, I just go in here and paste them in. And then it pastes in that iframe. The great thing about this is it works as far as like responsive design, mobile phones. It doesn't use Flash, so it works on, again, works on mobile phones, but it's also faster. So it's pretty awesome all the way around. I'll hit update here, and that will plug in to the site here. I'll share back up my screen. Okay, one thing to take note of here is, so I plugged it down at the bottom, and you'll notice that you won't see a preview for it or anything. It will take up space, so it's down here, but you won't see it. You'll see like your cursor, you can see becomes really large, and so that's where the deal is. But it doesn't give you a preview in the window itself. But if you see a big blank white space, that's where it will be inserted. So now that I've pasted that in, I'll hit save and go take a look at the history page. And there is my file. And it automatically resizing and stuff automatically. It takes care of even vertical pictures, which I knew was a concern, but I didn't see any in my file real quick. So, but anyway, it doesn't crop them or anything like that. It'll shrink them up with bigger bars on the sides, and then space enough. So, so anyway, so that is a great tool that I think a lot of you, will get a lot of use out of. If you want to see a quick review, again, I give lots of explanation here, but if you want to get a quick review to that, go to docs.solutiosoftware.com, which is also the address for Solutio University. And I have easy to create slideshows. So find out here, and I have a quick video that will go through that in a little less detail. That will get you going a little faster. But anyway, point is, go to albumizer.com, you drag your pictures in, and you make any modifications you want, and then you copy that code. They do have additional options if you want to kind of keep your images all together. Again, if you're going to be doing this a lot, I probably would recommend going ahead and signing up with an account with them. It doesn't cost anything to my knowledge. But this will allow you to control them after the fact, so you can come back in and add or remove pictures after the fact if you want to do that. It's kind of a, you create it, you put it on the site, and then you kind of forget about it. You don't need to come back to it. So there isn't really any editing. But if you do want to have a complete collection of all of your deals, inside of Albumizer, where you could keep track of them separately, you certainly can create an account. Not a bad idea. But for the person that's just going to do it here or there, not a problem. And again, like anybody can do this. You don't have to be a manager or an administrator or anything like that. You just don't need any special permissions. As long as you can create articles, you can plug in albums with this. So significant number of advantages. I hope you guys get good use out of that. That's certainly good on this end. Okay, John asks, loading photos in a photo gallery. So I think we covered that. If that's not, I can show you that a little bit with to an existing gallery. Maybe what we'll do, we'll take a look at Rock Gallery for an existing slideshow and show you how that works to add additional items to that. I don't know if that gets at your question, John. If you want to add any more clarity to that on the in the list of comments, please do so. Otherwise, I'll assume what I'm saying is correct, and we'll go from there. Oh, cool. Looks like we got another question here too. All right, so let's cover that, and then we'll come back to the Archdiocese has a question as well from Oklahoma. Okay, so if I want to add a
does.
Again, what's our name?
Oh, he says thanks.
Oh, it does. All right, never mind. All right, John, thanks for the clarification. Looks like I'm all set. I'm off the hook. These guys don't have a rock gallery anyway. Rock gallery, it's fine. Use it if we currently use it and it has a particular spot. It works well and it's super customizable, as I've talked about in one of these talks before. But yeah, so many options that it kind of makes things a little bit harder. So yeah, I'd really advise you to be using Albumizer. It seems to be the best of all the worlds. Using a third-party tool is pretty awesome. Okay, all right. So let's go to the Archdiocese here. Archdiocese of Oklahoma City. This I asked a question. archokc.org under Youth and Young Adult Offices, Retreats and Conferences. So let's go to that page. I'm glad to see so many folks this time. I was a little, so we had like 12 or 13 viewers. That's awesome. I didn't want to look like a goofball in front of our 2 new employees, so I'm glad that you decided to join us. It seems like this, again, there's a side question here. What's that? Well, I look like an idiot anyway, but yeah, too late. Missed that opportunity. I'm glad that we've had, yeah. Do you guys still have interest in this? Please continue to attend or put a shout out to other folks that might want to join us. They're very much welcome to. Again, I'll answer anybody's question. But yeah, hopefully this is good to help you continue to make refinements to your own sites and get you some new techniques that we've been using to help you on your journey as well. But yeah, keep questions coming. We keep watching and we'll keep doing this. So I think it's been good. Okay, so Archdiocese, go to offices and Youth and Young Adult. And what the Archdiocese is saying, so just to give you a little context, they've recently went under a redesign to give them a responsive site. So I don't know if this will work, but we'll try. So things like if you shrink up the screen here, you'll notice that this is a little bit more of the phone type of view. It switches everything to be vertical and their menu pops out here from the side. That's kind of how that works. That's all automated. And then if I take it back to the desktop view, you'll see it there. Okay, let me refresh this, make sure we got it. Okay, our website has recently gone through some updates. Therefore, some of the images are smaller than others. Could you show how to fix that? If there's a particular item that is smaller, because I don't know necessarily what the original one looked like, that might be helpful. So let me give you a little bit of context around this though, and I'll go ahead and shrink this screen back up, see what we can see here. Okay, so here's the thing with responsive design is you're going to have all kinds of different screen sizes, so you got to be a little bit aware of that as you're building pages. And so sometimes different things can happen, right, on these different environments. So for instance, one thing that I think is being used here is a table. In order to protect the system from kind of being zoomed out and going back to a desktop mode, sometimes we will, on most sites actually that we do now, we'll automatically resize pictures so they can't spill over the edge. So that's basically, we set the width at 100%. Which protects them from spilling over the edge. But what that can mean, so like say this youth and young adults, you'll see it as it's, if it has more room, it expands, right? And then once it gets to a certain spot, then it's as big as it's gonna get. But it basically goes as long as it's that size or bigger, it will fill the space, okay? Another product of this is you'll see the Center for Ministry Development, which kind of gets a little small if you can notice. But if I get a little bit bigger, it can take up a little bit more room, so it gets a little bit bigger. But there's so much information on the right-hand side that it probably shrinks this up a little bit. And so maybe before it was a little more 50-50, but in this case, again, it's trying to optimize for the space, so that makes things a little bit tougher. So again, I don't know necessarily what your specific question is, or just over. I'm taking a wild guess. I'm going to say it has something to do with the Ministry for Development here. and these pictures getting a little bit smaller. So I don't know that for sure, but that's what I'm gonna guess. On sites that we do, so again, with this whole mobile revolution coming out and things like that, you can imagine how tables with a very strict architecture make it hard for a wide table to exist today. So what I mean by that is, say you had a schedule of the days of the days of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and so on. If you had that many columns on a desktop, not a problem. When you shrink that down to mobile, that doesn't allow much space for each individual day. So that becomes a problem. And so typically, we don't use tables very much anymore because so many people will be viewing your website on mobile. That number, just so you are kind of aware, is probably in the neighborhood of 40 to 50, maybe even 55% will be viewing your website on mobile devices. That depends per client and what the demographics are, but that's kind of the general trend. So say we say half of it will be viewing it on a mobile device. So you would definitely want to be cognizant of their screen size. So it's not something that's just an outlier anymore. We really need to be designing the web pages with that in mind. So something we've done that you'll see us use internally is something called equal tables. Now, again, I don't know how often you use this or kind of what the need is, but this requires a little bit of getting into the code. And so basically, if you can copy and paste what I tell you here, you'll be in decent shape. But it is, in order to, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a table that kind of acts like a table when it's on desktop, and then it's going to switch. See, our images have been resized to, okay. All the images have been resized to 200 pixels, but they look different from page to page. Okay, I'm going to come back. I'm going to finish this thought just for anybody that might be looking through that, but then I'll get back to the Archdiocese to kind of clarify their question. So, okay, so upcoming events here. So I'm going to go into the administrator here, and this article is probably called Upcoming Events. And here it is, Youth and Young Adult Office here. Okay. So I have to kind of sectionalize this out and read the text here so I know. Okay, so this item starts with a logo, and then it has the CMD Center for Youth Ministry Development. So there's like a link here. So I got to look for, so here is the image, and I see that it's in a table. So you see the words table, border, center, and then you got T body. TR stands for table row. TD stands for table data. So that's like a table cell. So not to confuse the issue too much as far as ripping this code out, let me go right above it. Basically, if I wanted to create something that will mold either way, I will use something called equal tables. And I don't expect you to know what all of this means, but equal tables. But I can hopefully explain enough for those that I want to know. Basically, that is the outlying structure. Like that's those two elements, div, the little bracket there, div class equals equal tables, a couple quotes around that, and then the end. So basically inside of that is where I'm going to play in here. If I want to have a table that acts like a table when I'm on a desktop, and then it stacks things up when I'm on mobile, okay, this is how this is going to work. Basically, I will put in between a div and a closed div tag, I will put my content in there. And then those things that live inside there will be side by side on mobile and then stacked on top of each other on desktop. So what I mean by that is I'm going to take this image, it's down here, I'm going to place it in here, in between these div tags, these guys here. All right, and then I'm going to take some of the text that they plugged in over here. So this program, blah, blah, blah. We'll just copy a bunch of it. and I'll put it in between these two div tags. And again, I'll type all this out so you can copy and paste it here in a second, so you can see you can see a little more clearly what we're doing. But basically, you have a master div class up top and down below that closes it up. Again, I'll have this for you to copy, and then internally, you'll put in between two div tags the content. So this image will be beside this content on desktop, and then on mobile, it's going to stack. And so I'm going to show you how that looks. So here we go. I'll save this off. Hopefully I did everything correctly. All right, so here's my two items. And you can center these, do other things with that after the fact if you want. But basically, here's the logo on the left. Here's the text on the right. So it's a table structure here. When I go to mobile, you'll notice the logo goes up top, the text goes down below. So therefore, the image, like over here on the area below where it was, isn't shrunk up so much. And you can do as many of these div tags as you want side by side. So in upcoming events, I know this is a little bit more of an advanced technique. I'm not sugarcoating it, but you can create additional div tags. So open up here, close it up here, and you can make 5 columns wide if you'd like, right? And then you just put more content. Say we'll copy that same image here, and we'll put it in between these div tags here. Boom, boom, and boom. Okay. So now I'm going to have several different logos that'll all be side by side. If I plug that in on the desktop, you're going to see them side by side, right? So this is kind of like a table. Here's one cell, here's another cell, another cell, another cell, another cell. And again, this is kind of on a short screen, but if I enlarge it a little bit, you'll see those logos kind of spread out. Then if I shrink it all the way down, you'll notice they start going on top of each other. So here's the first one, then the second cell, third cell, fourth cell, fifth cell. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And let me get a little code for you. And I'm going to post that into the chat window here so you guys can have that. I'll get rid of all my crazy code here, my equal table stuff. Okay. Hopefully the Archdiocese to get angry that I played with her stuff. All right, and my hour of power stuff. Let me bring that up here. So equal tables is div class equals tables, div to end, and then you can put as many rows, div, the content goes here, and then end it. You can put as many of these side by side as you want. Okay, so I'll go ahead and submit that. Guess I need to log in first. I don't even account. Of course I do. Maybe I have a discuss account. There we go. Okay, post is not here. Okay, so you guys should be able to copy that out. I'll put that. Take a note to put that in our documentation for equal tables. And again, it's a little bit different. You have to do it in the code, but that's going to be more of an advanced technique to kind of if you want things to look in a particular way. All right. Got about 12 minutes left here. The other question, kind of to clarify for the Archdiocese, is we'll refresh this to make sure. They said they have most of their images at a width of 200. Okay, so in the past, right? When you were looking at the website, you basically had one way to look at it. It was the desktop version. Even if you're on a cell phone, it still shrunk it up. It just zoomed out, so you see smaller pictures, but you'd be able to zoom in and such. So it really didn't matter as far as the resolution of the pictures. Well, we live in a little bit different world now. So if these images are 200 pixels wide, which let me check and confirm, yeah, they're exactly 200 pixels wide. Well, here's the thing. Responsive design allows the system to resize on the fly. Okay, so that's part of the power of it. So plugging in images that are bigger than they need to be is probably a good idea for twofold. One, it allows for a larger screen size for that image to still be clear. Number two, especially on phones and really Apple products, out wide, the dots per inch, the resolution now is finer than most like regular screens. So if you're working on a typical Windows computer, you won't see a difference between a high resolution image and a lower resolution image because the dots per inch on your screen are at a lower resolution. If you're working on a Retina display, and so Apple started to introduce those with iPads and then their phones and then eventually their computers. If you're working on a Retina display, what that means is there's more dots per square inch. And so you get a higher resolution, up to the tune of about 4 times as much resolution. So that means even if you take a larger picture, say you take one that's 4 times bigger than it needs to be, so say 800 pixels wide instead of 400, you're going to see that detail on an Apple device and very possibly on your phone because it's Retina. So it's all the way down to as fine of pixels that the eye can even detect. So images now that you're resizing, they should probably be more in that neighborhood. Don't make them too big, otherwise it's going to slow you down on mobile. But as you imagine, the faster our networks get, mobile networks, our home connections, like we're giving ourselves a little more latitude to have a higher resolution around things. The thing for you is that the system will automatically resize. Just make sure that it's like a reasonable size when you put in pictures. So I advise somewhere between, probably in the neighborhood for a larger picture, probably 1,000 pixels, and then we'll let the system resize it from there. If it's a full width picture, like all the way side to side, I'd maybe recommend like 1,600. But if it's going to be in this like column here, where office of youth and young adult, I'd say 1,000 to 1,200 pixels wide is probably about the right size. But certainly as you're moving into some of these logos and things like that, you can start to make them bigger, make them higher than 200 pixels wide, because it will help with that Retina display, that fine deal, and we'll let the system take care of all of the resizing for you. Just again, don't make it so big that it's like a huge file that somebody has to download. If I were you and replacing these pictures, Archdiocese of Oklahoma City, whoever that person is, what I would do is I would replace the pictures. I would overwrite the existing ones, because then everywhere where they appear, it'll automatically replace them. So as we were looking at youth and young adult, I can right click on this picture, and then one of the items, again, you have to take my word for this because it doesn't appear on your screen, but one of the pop-ups on when you right click on a picture is going to be open image in new tab. And I think that's pretty common language for all the different types of browsers. But when I do that, it's going to open up that logo, just that individual image, and it's going to tell me where it lives. So it lives at ArchOKC, images/stories. Okay, and that's pretty common. That base directory is pretty much for everybody, images/stories. And then it's gonna, so then after that is gonna say where it lives on your particular site. So offices, youth and young adult, and then this CMD space logo space resize.jpg. That's where that lives. So if I wanted to put a new copy of this, you could go through the article, delete it, and reinsert an article, reinsert an image, or we could just go to, I thought it was offices. Sorry, now I lost my place. Stories, then offices. Oh, here it is on the left-hand side. Offices, and then youth and young adult, and then that image was CMD. Okay, so got some numbers here. CMD, there it is right there. So what I would do is I just, you basically give it the exact same file name and then override it. So if I clicked and dragged an image into here and dropped it, it's going to say, so it's going to list it here, and when I hit start upload, there'll be a dialog that will say, a file with the same file name exists. Would you like to overwrite it? I know that's a pop-up, you can't see it, but you just hit OK, and then it will overwrite that file. And then on your article, you don't have to change anything because it'll just replace that image. So hopefully that makes sense. That's what I would do. That would be the fewest number of steps. But if you can find those original logos, you just put them at the higher resolution. You go into the article manager and you overwrite them. So, because we can't really go back in history and get a better resolution one because you already resized it. So just keep that in mind. All right. It is 10:55. See if I have any more comments. And maybe handle one more quick question. There's my comment. Whew. All right. I think that covers everybody's question. So thank you so much, everyone. We'll end it there. My brain hurts from talking so loud, but I feel like I need to do that, so let me make sure that you can hear me. So sorry, and you just have to adjust your speakers, but I want to make sure that I'm clear. So thank you everyone for joining us. If you find these helpful, please give us comments. Please let us know how we can do better. We want to make this a productive time for you as well. I have plenty of other things and sites that I can build right now with this time. So hopefully, I'm definitely, I think it's a good thing. And so I'm definitely willing to spend some time, but I need good questions and you know, obviously like people to view it. So so thank you for your time. Please continue, just continue to give us feedback. And if you come across Michelle or Sarah, definitely welcome them to the team and give them your support. Be patient with them as they're continuing to learn. We'll make sure to show them the ropes before we let them have too much power. But I think they're going to be a great addition to our team. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next month. We'll set a date. I don't know. I'll talk to Lori about when would work best for that. If you have particular dates or times, like days of the week that work better for people, again, this is all up to us. So just send those comments to us, and we can process those. Probably most comments that you send in, just put them on that Solutio, solutiosoftware.com/power page, and we'll be making sure to pay attention to that. Thanks, everyone.